of slavery and then moving into the abolishment of slavery into the prisoner leasing system where these laws were created specifically for black bodies to incarcerate them and then have them return into these spaces that weren't considered slavery. They just put a new name on it and called it prison. So um, it's many angles and intersections to that, that question. But the most practical things you can do is research the laws in your state. And again, if you aren't a person of color, if you are a white person, or if you're a non-black person of color, and like if you have, the means to share that, to research this information and share that information with folks in y'all community, if then do that because it's so important. The more we get folks to see how colluded and non-trustworthy prison systems are, that it costs more money to house a person in jail for a month than to send a person to college for a full 4 years. Then I think people will start realizing that maybe we should start directing our resources into other things like safe spaces, safe usage spaces, decriminalizing drugs, pushing for things that move away from further criminalizing folks to uplifting them and providing them the resources that will keep them from returning into prisons or returning into survival economies that then tend to lead folks back into prison.
Awesome. Hell yeah. So before we start getting into some of the questions, mixing those in with some other questions that I have, on those lines, it's kind of a dense read. I'm still actively in the middle of it, but everything I've read so far, I could and probably will just like give a presentation on. But The End of Policing by Alex Vitale, highly recommended. It it goes over everything that we have talked about here today and more. And like he presents some potential solutions to policing in general and abolishing it and the concept of policing as it exists today. Highly recommend that work. Let me find some questions and I will present those. Let's see. Um, Oh, Sammy Rosa wants to get into specifically Lancaster County prisons and like what rights they have violated that you're aware of.
Was that for me?
That's
No, I
just an
think that
open
was for me.
question.
Can you
But
say that
Alexa.
again?
Uh, so Sammy Rosa wants to know about like what rights the Lancaster County prison system have violated.
I'm a mute myself.
Okay, so like specifically when I went in, the first thing I noticed was in the drunk tank, the HVAC unit was rusted out. Um, so that tells me that there's evidence of infrastructural damage. I told you before, I'm a carpenter. I what you don't know is that I'm also HAZWOPER certified. So I am cleared to identify hazards wherever they may be and whatever type they may be. So that was the first thing that I noticed. The toilet that I was in, in the room that I was held in the drunk tank, was also not working. More evidence of infrastructural issues. They put me on suicide watch, which was the right move. Suicide rates are high for trans women of color, highest in the world. I can't remember what the actual fucking statistic is right now. If anybody wants to post that in chat real quick. So this is like we're already seeing like health like violations. Like it's a risk to have somebody, you know, in a room with a toilet that's like, you know, open to the open sewer and festering. It's like, yeah, it's a risk. And then on top of that, I see how the HVAC unit is rusted out, and it's just a dirty combination. So, and that's just when I first got in, and I tried to tell them, you know, I was like, yo, you guys gotta be fucking careful about how you handle me because I'm transgender. And I was just like, it's like just not gonna work out, period. You know what I mean? And I told them, I was like, listen, like my gender marker is female on my license. Like you guys got to keep that shit in line. And so when I went to see the nurse, they had identities and sexualities listed in the same category. And I know Sammy saw that too. He's in the chat right now going off. But yeah, they had gender identities and sexualities listed in the same category as if they were the same thing. Is like, do you identify as, you know, gay, lesbian, transgender? Like, and it was just so fucking weird. Like all these things in the same spot. And that was the second thing that I saw that was like, you know, like clear that they don't understand how the health of transgender people work. And how the health of just like any person who is LGBTQ works. You know what I mean? So that was the second scary thing. So obviously I told them I'm transgender, lesbian, everything like that. They put me in the women's block for one day, and it was clean over there. Most of the stuff over there, it was newer. Like they had 2 cameras in my room. I was on suicide watch level 1, which is like right. So I was in a fucking smock. And you bet your ass I fucking tightened that bitch around my waist as much as I could to make it look as cute as I could. Yeah, I know she knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, yeah, they had me in there for one day, and everything was cool. There's 2 cameras in there, and the HVAC unit in there worked. All the bricks were pointed and all that stuff. Everything was great. The door slots were all like working. Everything was working. And then they woke me up in the morning and they brought me over to the men's side. And it was a totally different story. It was more like what I saw over in the holding cell. The beds were destroyed, like the clothes were destroyed, the fucking walls were destroyed, like the place was it was dirty. Like you can't like I talked to one of the work people, you know, one of the guys who does like the actual like work in there. I asked him, I was just like, yo, like, do they have a cleaning company? Like they don't got a cleaning company in there. Like, so that's like evidence of neglect, you know, like none of the door slots were on the doors even. They fucking took them all off. The only thing that was lucky is that I was housed alone the whole time. I was lucky. I fucking made sure to let them know. I was like, yo, I'm a fucking rape risk no matter which side you put me on. So I better be in the fucking, like, you know, in by myself. Like, you know what I mean? So I wasn't trying to deal with other people. Like, and it was only in there for a couple of days, but like there was no camera in the room that they held me in on level 1 suicide watch. It takes less than 5 minutes to die by suicide by hanging. My cousin, legit, like we just lost my cousin to suicide last week because we didn't make it in time to fucking save him. So you can't tell me that having somebody on suicide watch without a camera is okay. we're talking about mental health, we got to be honest. And this is me being honest.
And ultimately, there's nothing else to say, but that is entirely purposeful and that is entirely based in transphobia. There's no reason to take you from the correct facilities into incorrect facilities once you are already in the right place. There's no reason for them to do that. That is
Or one
purposeful.
better, how about just stop targeting
I found
folks
out the reason
and
later.
finding ways to incarcerate people? I just don't understand why there is such a large push from, you know, and I'm so thankful again that I live in what is considered a progressive city. You know, we have the first Black trans woman city council member, the first Black trans male city council member, and that we have one of the largest LGBTQIA affiliate city council board members ever. And I don't know if folks know who Andrea Jenkins is, but she's a Black trans woman, a poet, an author, and the Black trans woman that I'm mentioning that is one of the city council members. My other friend is Philippe Cunningham. He's also on the board. But I believe like big moves like that and having, I guess, a more open and less biased voice for that represents all of us, instead of just bland ass white cis people who internalize the fears that they have learned growing up, whether it be through their own preconceived notions and racism, or if it's just shit that they, a lot of people don't even take the chance or time to educate themselves. They just hear things and just run with it, and so that's why you have laws like the sagging law that they have, and I believe it's New Jersey, where if you are caught with your pants sagging, they can ticket you, and then after so many times they can jail you. Why does a person, and we know who that's gonna target, like we know that, they're not gonna be walking, rolling around looking for white people with sagging pants. We know that that's something that's going to affect a certain type of person. That was a law that was specifically created to target Black people.
Yeah, and
There are laws
that
that
gets into
specifically target trans bodies, Black trans bodies. There was a time where I couldn't even stand at a bus stop and not have a cop pull up on me and tell me that I can't be standing here. First of all, I can stand wherever the fuck I want to. This is a bus stop. You can't tell me that I can't stand at a bus stop. And by you assuming whatever that you're assuming, you probably think I'm out here partaking in survival economics, which if I was, is none of your business, and you should move along and go find something else or someone else to harass. Are you driving through predominantly white neighborhoods
Survival
doing
economics.
the same thing? I don't think you are. So I have the right to stand at this bus stop. And for your information, I'm actually on my way to class. And that would gag them every time, because it's like these ideas and it's all about what a person believes. It's not, half the time, it's not even what they have educated themselves on. So I think that there should just be a large push for folks. California just passed laws to decriminalize certain amounts of marijuana, certain amounts, well, not marijuana, we know that that's legal, but of cocaine, of methamphetamine, and of heroin. Why? Because we all know that the war on drugs is a lie and a fool, and was created out of fear-mongering tactics and racism. We know that correctional facilities do not correct. In fact, they retrograde people and tend to lead them back into those very same environments. And then we know that community safety centers does the exact opposite. Cops are out here killing folks left and right, predominantly Black bodies, and they are exempt from everything. You can't even pinch a cop without getting a life sentence, but they can kill you at the drop of a dime and go on vacation and get a job in another county. So there needs to be a total revamping. No, because that would make me like what you call those folks. I'm not one of those folks. I'm an abolitionist. I don't believe in reforming. I hate that term, reforming.
You're not a
or
reformist.
revamping. We need to just get rid of the system because it does not work. All of these systems do not work. And the only thing that will work is to get rid of them and start anew.
Shut it down.
That's the only way, because there is nothing that's going to prevent. When I walk out my house, I'm always constantly in fear. Am I going to get attacked by a white supremacist? And that could be a cop, that could be my doctor, that could be anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that is stopping white supremacy from flourishing. Even in the cases of internalized racism, internalized queerphobia, transphobia, whatever the case may be. I see folks like Milo Yiannopoulos or what's the damn, and then they put him in charge of HUD, which was the worst thing that anybody could do. The black politician, I can't think of his name right now. That's how you know he's not important. But he's a doctor.
Was it Ben Carson?
And then Trump was so bogus, and instead of having him be a part of the official cabinet, he said, no, you're going to work on HUD. You're going to work on Section 8. You see how that racism even trickles down into like a black person who's considered a Republican, and you're still treated like the help? I think that these systems that allow folks to even pretend to be like, you can't be marginalized, but I guess they don't see themselves as being marginalized. But at the same time, it's like that still affects people like me, because then Karen can be like, oh, well, I seen this black senator and he was for Trump. Well, girl, that was him. That's not me. And I punch people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, I think that there should be a large, overhaul. We find the
Yo, I
biggest
swear to God,
trash can and just dump everything in there, because
fucking
nothing's
Candace
gonna
Owens'
work
dusty ass,
other than
freak out.
abolishing it. Yes, exactly.
God, hell yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck Candace Owens. She's fucking stupid. Before we get to like y'all saying your Venmos and stuff out loud, I want to make sure we get that recorded and on stream. I want to wrap back around to Alexa if we can, and we want to talk about how you were picked up, and what effects that had on your mental health. And if you want to talk more about mental health, in that space, you can go ahead.
Of course. So it was really weird. Because I was just standing there, and I was standing there in the Safe House parking lot in Lancaster, and I was with a couple of the people in this chat actually, and I'm not saying names because I don't want them to be targeted or whatever, but yeah, we were all standing there in the parking lot, and I see this black truck roll up, and I'm just like, oh, I know it's the cops. You know what I mean? They didn't have lights on or nothing. They just pulled up, and then they stopped. They all got out of the car all at the same time, shut the doors all at the same time, like they practiced and shit. It was so funny. And I was just like, yo, what are these guys doing? They look ridiculous. So I, started walking up towards them. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Trying to ask them a question, you know what I mean? Because they're in the Safe House parking lot. Like, so I was just like, nah, like, we're not doing this. So I walked up to them. I'm like, yo, what's going on, guys? Like, what's happening? Like, what are you doing here? And they were just like, don't move. And I was just like what? Like, well, I'm not going to run. I don't have time for that. So I start walking towards them, and they were just like, you're under arrest. Rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, for what? I was just like, It's like, you definitely have to tell me before taking me in. And they were just like, oh, we'll tell you when we get in the car. And I was just like, all right. So I cooperated. Like, I didn't have to. I could have ran at any time. I could have outran any of them. Like, it was just like, I just thought it was so stupid. So there was no reason. You know what I mean? Like, so they take me in the car, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like looking around, and I'm like, so, you guys care to tell me what's going on? Why I'm being arrested? And they were just like, oh, we'll tell you when we get back to the station. And I was just like, yo, you guys realize that's illegal, right? I was like, we're not like I'm being cooperative, but like, you guys are breaking the law right now. And I was just like, do you guys even know what I'm being charged with? I was like curious, you know what I mean? I got at that point, I was like curious. I was just like, do you guys even know what I'm being charged with? I looked around, crickets, dude. They all like looked forward. They were silent, bro. It was so funny. And then
Can I say something real quick?
I looked around again. I was just like, do you guys even know my name? Crickets. Yeah, go ahead.
So what's interesting about that
They didn't know who I
specifically
was.
is that there is a Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court determined in 2014, cops do not have to know the law at all. They do not. They just have to think that you've broken a law, which obviously can't lead to any sort of you know, any sort of abuse of power. I just wanna. You can continue. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, and that actually led to what happened to me, which is arbitrary enforcement of the law on people who don't deserve it. They decided that because of the way that I was dressed, that somehow I was involved in the destruction of Lancaster City. Which, if you didn't fucking listen to me the first 3 times that I said it, I'm a carpenter, and I work in that city. So if somebody destroys something, 3 times out of 10, I'm gonna be the asshole who has to come and fix it. So that, and and I mentioned I'm an investor. When that shit happens, I lose money. You know what I mean? So these things that they're trying to fucking put on me, they just don't coincide with my interests at all. And so we're seeing an arbitrary enforcement of the law. They didn't like the way that I looked, so they picked me up. That was all it is. But to be quite honest with you, I believe that they would have picked anybody up in that. They were just there to pick somebody up. Guaranteed. That if they didn't see me, they would have grabbed somebody else, because they all got out of the car before they even... When they got out of the car, that's when I stood up from out of the shadows and showed them who I was. And I was just like, yo, what's going on? Wasn't about to let them do that, pick somebody up random, because there was a bunch of people there. Some of them were young, some of them were women, smaller than me anyway. I'm a black belt, you know what I mean? I've been hit before. I can handle it. I can deal with it. So I wasn't about to let somebody else fucking go down for that. The guy, it was just so sad, man. And when we were pulling in to the station, we parked, and the guy asked me if I had anything on me, and I had snacks in my pack. And I was just like, yeah, just some snacks and some drinks and whatever. You know what I mean? Because I always carry waters around with me when I'm at protests, so that I can hand them to people in case they get thirsty. Because people sometimes they get overwhelmed and stuff like that by the energy, and it just gets to be too much sometimes. Just having a water really helps. But yeah, no, the guy looks at me and he's just like, well, do you have any Skittles in there? And I was just like, yo, dude, did you just make a George Zimmerman joke to my face? And yo, that was one of the craziest things that I had ever experienced. And that it was at this point that I was just like, yo, dude, they don't care. They're these guys are probably gonna end up hurting me. You know, I thought that they were gonna hurt me. Like at that point, I was just like, yo, I'm gonna get hurt in here. And then like they put me in the like in a holding cell, blah blah blah. And then like I'm sitting there for like 6 hours, dude. Like 6 hours. Like, and I still don't know what my charges are. Like I asked them what my charges were when we got in the fucking station. We're like, oh yeah, we're here. We're here. And you know, they were just like, oh, well, nope. And then they just fucking like all walked away. And like I didn't fucking end up figuring out what my charges were right then when like they told me I would. And like I was just like, all right, y'all, like just make sure like my pronouns are she and her. You have to respect that. Like my gender marker is female on my license plate, you know, or on my license. So you gotta like make sure that you keep that shit in line so that, you know, you guys make sure that all of your information is correct. And the cop just goes, all right, well, I'm gonna take she and her back to his cell now. And then fucking took me back to the fucking, yeah, I know. And then like took me back to the fucking holding cell where I spent 6 hours. And it was like at the third hour, like I was like, oh my god, dude, they're gonna kill me in here. Like that's how this, like I had like a revelation. I was just like, dude, they are gonna kill me in here. I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna like, the story will be that I died from suicide in the holding cell, dude. I was like, oh my god, dude, this is gonna be another fucking Sandra Bland story. That's exactly how I felt like was gonna happen. I thought they were gonna kill me in there, dude. I really did, but they didn't. They eventually pulled me out, and you know, they took me over to the prison. But like, you know, after all those guys, after the original cops who arrested me left, the cop who took me over to the prison was a lady cop. And like, you know, I warned her. I was just like, yo, dude, I was like, yo, your coworkers, I was like, these are the people you work with. I was like, yo, that's terrifying. From woman to woman, you like got to be careful. You know what I mean? Like I let her know. I had to. Like I fucking had to. But like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened when I got picked up. It was really weird. Like I thought I was gonna die because my rights were being so, you know, blatantly violated with not a care.
Just your humanity being violated. Like not even like your legal rights. You're just respecting you as a fucking human being just doesn't exist.
Unfortunately, they don't care about humanity. They care about the law. Dude. Yeah. They don't deem humanity admissible in court though. So I'm going to use what I can.
All right. So given the time that we have now, and I think there might be if there are any other questions from the chat that folks want us to raise, let us know. Obviously, this is the first of many panels that we'll have, and that we start this conversation and continue it. And, you know, as many times as we can bring you back, CC, we would love that. Obviously, Alexa and John A., thank you so much for being here. Hopefully next time, John A. will be able to see your face. But again, thank you for everyone for your time and dealing with all of the technical issues. If there's anything else folks want to mention, CC, I just tried to pay you through Venmo, just so you know, and it didn't work. So,
there's no number associated with my.
Gotcha.
Because unfortunately, dealing with these large corporations, I have become the victim of many site breaches. So my information is circulating everywhere in the world. I actually had some money stolen out of my bank account, and realized that my Bank of America also had a breach. And so, yeah, I'm in a process of trying to find an attorney to gather my coins back, because ultimately these folks or whoever took around $20K from me.
Wow.
Yeah. And was one of the reasons I was actually I had such a bad anxiety attack because essentially that was the funding for my housing, and folks were raising money for me through the Fundly link that I shared, and so I switched my banking over to a different bank, but I can't close this bank account till the issue is resolved, and so yeah, so T-Mobile. If anybody has T-Mobile service, you should definitely check and make sure that your information um, has not been leaked and stolen. And there are resources to figure out, like, if what information of yours has been leaked in a breach or whatever. It will be very essential. I mean, my phone started acting weird. Then I started getting phone calls, weird phone. It was just a lot. It was just a lot. So I'm still stressing about that and trying to recover from that because, yeah, I would have never expected, me, I don't make, tons and tons of money. So I just felt really bad, that somebody took advantage of that moment and probably assumed that I was some grandeur type bitch and just having all these coins and was like, oh, she'll be okay. And like not realizing that these were funds that were like gifted to me on top of the funds that I have been striving and working hard for because, again, due to COVID, I'm not making much money. And so, yeah, I had to stop using my number in a lot of things and just connecting my email because, and have many emails, please, because those things are also, it's like there's no privacy. Everything of there, like, please just be aware, be careful. And again, like it's different for each state, and you have to look at your own resources. But you will need a financial, a certain type of financial attorney to handle any type of issue regarding your bank or your financial institutions, stocks, things like that. So yeah, I'm just in a slew of fucking things that I can't pay for.
Do you? Is there any way is there any way that we can help you? Like that people can help you? Do you have like a GoFundMe going yet, or?
Yeah, it's right up at the top of the chat.
I don't think
that
I don't think I see that.
the link is in the chat. My fund
I was just getting ready to say.
Pushed over my bank, so the funds won't be going to my Bank of America, but to a different bank that I'm banking with now. And yeah, I mean, if folks can like share some coins, which is ultimately what I would admire, sharing my page, or sharing the pages of local Black, brown, trans, queer, LGBTQIA bodies that are struggling, because it's not just about me. I know that there are folks, and I have a privilege of being able to get paid for these type of events, and I know what it's like to not have a platform and not be able to have someone advocate, So if you can't do it for me, do it for somebody in your community or whatever you can, or help us all. Shit, if you got the coins and you want to splurge a little, help us all. But
Yeah, absolutely.
anything, a little goes a long way with me. And I appreciate everything. Nothing that is given to me, I do not appreciate and admire with the utmost.
Awesome. And then Alexa, we have your Venmo. We have your Venmo down. It's in the chat. But do you want to say it out loud on the stream, on the audio?
Yeah, it's Alexandria-Wise-3. Also, check out my YouTube channel, Airsoft Noob Alexa. It's the same name as my name here. If you are into airsoft content, I like to turn everything into a story. So go check it out. And I also write all my own music.
Come on for the artists, Black trans artists. Yes.
Also, I have a link for the initiative for the Lancaster protesters who are being prosecuted for these false charges. So you have to check that in the description because that link is way too long for me to say out loud. And that is the entire initiative. It gives you all of the information that you need. It gives you the GoFundMe's. It gives you it gives you the whole story and who was involved and like how it all went down. So like if you're like really curious about what specifically happened and how the protesters are being treated and have been treated, you definitely need to check that out as well. And also check out my band on Spotify. It's Gryla. It's Gryla. And we are on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We are on YouTube. I think we're on what's the other one? Google Play as well. And I think that's all my plugs for right now.
I just want to just try. If folks can't hit up my Venmo, which is at Chunli666. That's CHUNLI 666. I do have a PayPal, which is subsidiary. How do you say that? My mouth is just tangled today. Maybe it's the gum. Subsidiarity of Venmo, PayPal. My PayPal, you can what is my PayPal? Hold on, let me get that together. But I know it's connected to my number. If I can find it in this moment, I will definitely have it for y'all. Oh, yeah. It's my email, honeybee88@gmail. That's HONEEBEA 88, the number 88 @gmail. This will be me, if y'all can see. Oh, I'm breathing. I'm also gonna send this link to Karen.
Bruh.
Thank you so much, everyone. And Johnny, I know we can't see you, but thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely.
Hey,
It's my
Cece, don't forget we
pleasure.
got to link up after this too.
Okay.
All right. So anybody have any other questions? I think this is probably a good time. Did you get all your information out, Cece? You can just